Hi. One of the greatest joys of ministry is that people love to give me books. Did you know that? Love it. I swear it's a love language for y'all, my beloved congregants, my kin. And I'm always humbled and deeply grateful. Over the years, though, I've received a wide selection, let's just put it that way. Collections of poetry, Black history, UU theology, obscure queer fiction, science and science fiction. Anyone watch Dune last night? Oh, yeah. Mysticism, Stoic philosophy, just to name a few. Wisdom like windows into each other's worlds through the written word. And I love words. Chewy words, imaginative words, inspiring words, challenging words, transformative words. Words of passion and heartbreak. Words that bring us closer together to make a way forward. Words that hold us together when our heart aches. One such gift arrived in my mailbox from Terry Barr. This book, as you can see, I've marked it up already. More Together Than Alone by Mark Nepo. Discovering the power and spirit of community in our lives and in the world. That'll preach, amen? More together than alone, discovering the power and spirit of community in our lives and in the world. That is the heart and essence of who and how we are together. This book is brilliant, and I think it's the Women's Spirituality group actually read it together. I'm going to look in the chat and see if anyone tells me if that's the case. Maybe. It's a brilliant book. There are pages upon pages of suggestions and questions to live with that are exercises in deepening relationships and inner reflections. Here's an excerpt from a chapter entitled Bonds That Last. And you know, anytime I hear the word bonds or bind, the root word of the word religion is religio, which means to bind. So to be in a religious community is to be bound together. And Rebekah also is related to that word. Here's an excerpt from Bonds That Last. When atoms join, they form molecules. When molecules join, they form organisms. When organisms join, they form tissue. When tissues join, they form a body. Unless interrupted, this is the unfolding of life. Similarly, when our hearts are opened, they form bonds. When bonds are deepened, they form relationships. When relationships are inclusive, they expand our sense of kinship. When kinships are strengthened, a community is created. Unless interrupted, this is the unfolding of the social self, which is the atom of community. These unions are more than just a metaphor. Our impulse to join is at first biochemical. Those of us compelled to join become the building blocks of community. When we combine with others, we grow into something greater than our individual selves alone. Our capacity to join and complete each other is literally within our DNA. Oofda. That's my new favorite word. Oofda. Isn't that good? So you heard we have lots of science folks in this congregation, and I read that. I was like, ah! From atoms to molecules, organisms to tissue to bodies, to life. Just like when our hearts are opened, we sing that in the song, when our hearts are opened, our hearts are in a holy place. Our souls are knitted together, linked through sharing of stories, through connections to build relationships, which creates kinship. Seeing ourselves in one another, beholding ourselves in each other, tied together, as Larissa beautifully mentioned, our 8th principle, tied together in the interdependent web of all of creation of which we are a part. This, in turn, creates community, is literally in our DNA, our capacity to come together and complete each other. And what a perfect image for this morning as we welcome and celebrate our new members, Janet and Joel, Scott and Lynn, Marla and Brian, and we covenant together with them as our cherished kin. We say to them, we say to you, you are not just welcome here, but this place was built for you, with you, by you. At times, I feel like the word covenant should really mean return. The chant just went through my head. The earth, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Covenant means to return. Return again and again. But I wonder, in that excerpt from More Together Than Alone by Mark Nepo, did you hear that there is a fast-track way to building community? Or relationships or kinship? Were there any words in that that implied or asserted that this was easy or quick? Is it a once and done sign on the dotted line? Set it and forget it, and that's all she wrote? And that's your ticket to an easy life? Nope. Not one bit, not even a little. Life is messy and complicated and beautiful. Relationships are messy and complicated and beautiful. If I was with my soldiers, I'd say, can I get a north-south? Community is messy and complicated and beautiful because it takes time. It takes time to build trust, to practice opening our hearts, to practice, I go like this sometimes, to practice opening our hearts, to be vulnerable and share, to be generous and share, to lean into a spiritual orientation of being together, a spiritual orientation of being, to serve each other and this community for the good of our shared future. It takes time. Your time. Our time. And that's good and right. Reverend Victoria Safford writes, "Beloved community is not a goal or destination, but instead a way of being." Let's think about that way of being for a moment. A spiritual way of being. For me, it centers on that beautiful connected web of life principle that we affirm, we covenant to affirm and promote. The interconnectedness of all things, of beings, of all of creation, the planets, the universe, the stars, and the cosmos, the groaning Mother Earth beneath us, The spiritual way of being centers the mantra, this place is a place where you are a we. You are a we. You are a we because we are. We are a community, a striving, beloved community, where how we show up for and with each other matters. Your presence matters. Gosh, do I love seeing you. I love being in this space with you. Showing up matters. As Mark Nepo reminds us, we are the building blocks of community. When we combine with others, we grow into something greater than ourselves. I went to one of those board games bars. Has anyone been to those? That seems to be a thing right now. They have board games at cafes and bars that you can just grab and play. And I got to play Jenga. When's the last time anyone played Jenga? Right? If you've got kids at home, maybe. But as an adult, my children are a little bit older. And with Jenga, you have to pull out each piece until it all topples down. And each piece is significant. Each bar is a building block of the greater whole. That's what we're talking about. This is a place where you are a we. We're the Jenga. When we combine with others, we grow into something greater than ourselves. A spiritual way of being is slower, more thoughtful, more principled and values-centered. It is the essence of our faith as Unitarian Universalists to live from a place of we. That is the something greater than ourselves. Take a moment, if you would, please. If you're on Zoom, scroll through all those little boxes. If you're in the sanctuary, look at each other. I'm not the we. You are the we. Y'all are the we. Pause and linger and greet and bless each other. Or think about those who have offered you kindness. A moment of graciousness. Think about the people here who have made you feel welcomed and special, connected and inspired even, when they share their gifts with us. And I'll close with yet another excerpt from More Together Than Alone. We often take for granted the miracle of joining and how it makes life possible. But without our capacity to join, the web of life falls apart. Without our capacity to bond, we are just a collection of mismatched parts. When we join with each other, the social self awakens. Do you feel it? It awakens, and we enliven the miracle of community. Without our capacity to join, the web of life falls apart, my beloved kin. We are the web of life. We need each other to grow, to thrive, to go out into a bruised and hurting world, to transform it with our courageous love. To be that saving grace and healing light for each other. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.